Okay, looks like we're live and ready, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Seldovia City Council, Monday, September 11th, 2023. Time is 6:01 p.m. and we'll go ahead and do a roll call. Sweat,
Here.
Rojas,
Here.
Kennedy,
Here.
Swick.
Here.
Okay, and looks like we have Peyton and Keithley are both absent tonight. So we have 4 out of the 6 in attendance, so we do have a quorum. And if you guys want to join us or start us on the Pledge of Allegiance, would appreciate that.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. As we stated, we have 2 excused absences tonight, and that will be council members Peyton and Keithley. And it'll take us to item D, agenda approval. We'll go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Well, second.
Okay, we have a motion by Rojas to approve tonight's agenda with a second by Swick. Any further discussion before we vote on the approval? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's agenda. All those in favor, Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
and Swick.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with a vote of 4 in the affirmative and 2 absent. Item E, consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and 1 vote. The council member may request to remove any item for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. The only item we have tonight is item E1. That's the minutes of the regular meeting, August 28th, 2023 for approval. Does any member wish to remove any item at this time? Okay, hearing none. We will go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda by Sweat. We have a second by Swick, I believe. Any further discussion? Was that Rojas or Swick?
Rojas.
Okay, second by Rojas. Sorry about that. Is there any further discussion on the consent agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor, Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
and Swick.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with a vote of 4 in the affirmative and 2 absent. Item F, mayoral proclamations, none. Item G, public presentation prior notice, and it looks like we have a Mr. Walt Martin signed up. Is Walt in attendance tonight?
Mr. Mayor, he's not in attendance at this time.
Okay. We'll go ahead and go on to item H, public presentation for items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone in the public that wishes to speak to that tonight?
We have no hands raised, Mr. Mayor, at this time.
Okay. Item I, committee and advisory board reports, and I see we have none listed. Is that still accurate?
Yes, we have none at this time, nor any administrative reports.
Okay, sounds good. That'll take us to item K, public hearing, ordinance 24-02, a non-code ordinance of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, appropriating $30,000 from the general fund Public Safety Department to the AMLIP Vehicle Replacement Fund and authorizing the city manager to acquire a Seldovia refuse truck not to exceed $45,089.23 from the Vehicle Replacement Fund. That's found on page 8 of your packet, and I'll go ahead and let the city manager take it away.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we've had this discussion a few times with winter approaching. It's becoming more and more necessary for us to go out to purchase a vehicle that can provide refuse services during the winter so that our one truck in use right now, the sanding truck, can go back to its sanding duties and other duties as needed. To be blunt, I have had a few conversations with council members, and I looked high and low, and really, with the deficit and the current funding in the budget, the funding is just not really there. But when speaking with Councilmember Swick, she suggested, and I thought that was potentially either that avenue or the avenue of pulling the funding from the 2% that the council had just said you guys wanted to wait, were the two avenues that we could utilize for this purchase. Because we are asking for an appropriation of funds, I requested $30,000 in hopes that we can cover all of our expenses with purchasing a vehicle and getting it here. We are looking daily for vehicles. There are a few right now in our price range in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. Of course, there aren't any on the West Coast at this point, which is crazy to me, but we continue to look, and there have been a few in Alaska that we've missed off and on over the summer. So I'm hoping that as fall and winter comes, that the sale of trucks doesn't dwindle, but shouldn't be more than 45,000. I'm hoping that is like the final number, and if we can come under that, so be it. But that's hopefully, because if we have to go to New Jersey, we can get it here from there. So I'd like to, hear from council on your thoughts about that.
Okay, sounds good. I'll go ahead and open it up to council for initial comments.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, just to clarify, I wasn't quite sure what I heard, Heidi. The conversation has been that we really don't have money in our departments to cover this, or in our budget, our general fund. But what one of the proposals is to take money from the public safety department, the 30,000, and use it for a replacement fund. Is that that is a choice? And then what was the other choice?
Yes, through the mayor. Thank you, Councilmember Rojas. Yes, so the two choices, and if you guys have more options, please let us hear it. But the two choices that we were able to recognize were one, taking the funding from the 2% public works that was set aside in a separate AMLIP account. That was about 44,000. Or two, council did recognize in the budget $80,000 under public safety as other, in case we needed to reinstate a police officer. Neither option is a great option. That's just where we have funding that could potentially be utilized at this point.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Yeah, I guess I would be more in favor of the coming from the public safety department as opposed to 2%. The 2%, what we've told the public, and I think we had this discussion over and over, that it was to go to payment for the new piece of equipment. So I guess I would be a little bit more at ease with going with the public safety department monies, unless council has another idea of coming up with money. But we all know that we need to spend this money, that we need to find a truck. And until we appropriate money for it, we really don't have anything to jump on if something comes across your desk. So I'm in favor of doing it. And then public safety department money is someplace that we've got money that we could use, unless council has another idea. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Vivian. Who's next?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I agree with Vivian. I would feel better taking it from the Public Safety Department, I mean, I feel pretty good where we are as far as our VPSOs. I'm not too sure, did we ever get that straightened out and get a definite answer as to what we can do with that 2%, that sales tax? Remember, we had that question. You have to refresh my memory, but I can't.
Yes, through the mayor. So those funds are earmarked for public works, and at the meeting where the council made a motion, it was that that would be annually discussed during the budget process to determine what those funds would do.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, right now, like I say, I would feel more comfortable. Hang on just a second. This computer. Where is it? Sorry. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Anyway, I would feel comfortable, like I said, taking it from the Public Safety Department rather than the 2%. Sorry,
Okay.
one more thing, Mr. Mayor. Have we whined and begged again, maybe to Senator Murkowski's office?
Through the mayor, they don't have earmarks for fleet vehicles for rolling stock.
Okay.
Yes, so we do have a request in through, oh, why did I just blank? Through the program, the HEC, Healthy Equitable Communities Program, where we received additional funding for senior meals. But I asked for, they were said they're getting ready to announce it. And I said, well, we really need to make this purchase. Can you give me an idea if I should continue looking for other funding options? And she said, you need to continue looking. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's not going to come through, but if it does, that would be amazing. And then, we would go with that option. And we do have our needs listed under Indian Health Service database right now. And that's going through a comment period. But that would only be a portion of the funds that we need. VSW requested $200,000 for us for a truck. We've asked for them to half that. But even with the $200,000, the percentage was like $31,000 that we would receive. So you think half of that, $15,000, we're still
Right.
and we're just running out of time, quite frankly.
And those were all the fundings that were available. I read that must have been from VSW, what I'm thinking of the other funding. That was a possibility that you could look for. Yeah, there weren't very many options for funding. I saw that.
There really isn't for rolling stock, which
Right.
is part of the reason why the city purchased the grader outright. So.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. John or Jennifer,
Mayor Campbell.
go ahead.
Okay. That was going to be my first question tonight, was how much money was left in the safety budget. And I don't need to know how much. I know there's things happening with the pay raises and all the extra stuff this year. I get that. But I don't really have an issue with taking the money from the public safety. My issues are more with what we're going to buy. And Jeremiah, I just, as you know, a traditional trash truck would be a Packer style truck. And we don't have the staff or those kind of people to run that. I get all of that. You know what I mean? A Packer style truck, meaning where you've seen the old fashioned garbage truck, they throw it in and it backs it up in the back and they take it out and dump it. For this kind of money, we could buy a good used Packer truck. And that's where my concern's getting to be. And I know new trucks nowadays are $80,000-$90,000. I get that. But I do have serious heartburn with buying a dump style truck, with a little mini dump bed on it for several reasons. And if you bought a cargo truck or a landscape style truck with a stake rack on it, they usually have means of getting into the side of them and loading from the side or loading from the back. Whereas the dump truck style truck. They don't have any stake pockets in them to be able to raise the sideboards on that truck. And everybody that picks up trash for us is going to have to pick that bag up another 2 feet. So so we have increased liability for people to pick up those bags. And that truck's only going to haul about a third of the current truck what we have. So, for me, I would be more concerned about waiting for the right kind of truck. And in our application, I think the best type of truck right now is a landscape style truck or a stake rack truck with some type of tarp. I know we looked at them.
No, through the mayor, if I could real quick.
Yeah.
I'm looking at one right now in New Jersey. I think it was like 31.9 and it has a Tommy lift.
That's cool. That's cool.
So,
But
yeah.
I just don't want to see us go down the road of buying a truck that's going to actually make more work out of the trash folks. Other than that, I really don't have an issue with it. I think we have a unique opportunity this year that you wouldn't normally have with the VPSO deal. I haven't heard anything negative about the VPSO in town. I think everybody's pretty happy, with the whole deal. I haven't heard on the status of our second officer and how she's doing in the camp, but we can talk about that later. But as long as we purchase some type of landscape, or what's your thoughts on that, Jeremiah? Do you have any thoughts on the style of truck? Or
No, I'm a little mixed. I mean, I know this the same thing. It just is right now. I mean, the 2 current trucks we've got the Chevy or the GMC with our normal truck, the white one that's got, basically 4-foot plywood sides on it.
right.
And then the old one has got the kind of the stake bed on it. And I don't know if those guys are throwing everything from the back and then just kind of jumping up in there and consolidate it, or throwing the light bags up and over.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, the last thing we want is a back injury or anything. So
Right. So that's where I'm going, is I've watched them for 4 years. They're throwing it in the back and then somebody climbs up in there and smashes it down. They get a pretty good load in there because of the height of the sideboards. And that's all I'm advocating with a cargo style truck, is it would fit the need best for our type of situation, because we're not going to buy a traditional trash truck because we don't have a CDL driver. We don't, all those things that go along with it. And we picked litter alongside the highway. Many crews, that's what they use, is they use a stake style truck. Now, the argument could be made that the birds can get into between the slats and stuff. You may end up taking a few sheets of plywood and closing that up and having a cover over it, they have those automatic tarps now for those trucks. Most of those trucks have that, and then one other option, I'm actually headed to San Francisco in late October, and I'm going to drive back to Alaska. So there's 4 major equipment yards, auction yards within 50 miles of Sacramento. So there's stuff coming up that, that maybe I could look at, and even if I had to look at something in Portland on the way up, or Seattle, I would absolutely do that. Then I could drag my feet about coming home. But anyway, that's just really my 2 cents. I just don't want to see you buy one of those little box dump trucks that don't have provisions to, load from the side, or something that they got to lift it any higher in the air than they're already doing. And you're right. A lot of those cargo style trucks do have Tommy lifts on the back of them, Yeah. I mean, that's I don't know what those Tommy lifts cost nowadays, but they're pretty expensive. But I would think one used worth $1,500, installed on a vehicle like that. It's a pretty nice option, So
yeah, I bet you knew they're 4,500, $5,000.
Yeah, yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. I
would think anybody that's pricing a truck to sell a used one, it'd be worth a couple, $1,500, $2,000, as an option on that truck, That's all I really had. And I'd rather see the money come from the public safely. At least we're doing something with it legitimate that helps us, you know. I'm glad Jen had a chance to chat about that. Okay.
Jennifer, any closing comments you'd like to offer?
Yeah, no, I don't really have an opinion on the truck. It's truck shopping is not. I told Keith last time he bought a truck, I didn't want to have any part of it. Buy whatever you want. I'm just the money piece. So if we approve this tonight to take it from the public safety, if you find the great whatever and never public works and everyone's on board, does that have to come back to us, or is it? We're saying go for it.
Yeah, that's part of the ordinance, is that you're authorizing the city manager to acquire a Seldovia refuse truck not to exceed $45,089.23.
Okay.
That way, because we have missed out on a few over the summer.
Right.
And this doesn't mean we have to purchase one tomorrow.
Right.
We can, if we don't find the right one, we're waiting, and Councilmember Kennedy can look for, we can continue the search. But if that one comes across, there have been a few nice ones in Anchorage and the Valley that were cheap. Not necessarily cheap, but within our budget. Then it's like, we missed it. So
Right.
This provides that authorization that when that unicorn hopefully comes across, we can just
You'll be all good.
grab it.
Okay, great. I love it. And then just in regards to the public safety budget, so we kept the 80 or whatever, but then we just got more from APIA, correct?
Yes, correct. But that is going towards the FY23 budget because it's coming out of their FY23. So they provided a payment of a little over 8,000. It was like 8,100 for the services that they utilized from the city for FY23.
Oh, okay. So that's not adding to this 80. Okay. But
No,
it's-
but there is 80 in the other fund under public safety that was budgeted. So there's still 50 there.
right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Mayor Campbell,
Yep, go ahead,
sorry, I
John.
had one more question. I forgot. What about the 17,000 you had put away? Are we gonna utilize that too, or are you hoping to hang on to that for some grant somewhere down the line, or what's happening there?
Through the mayor, are you discussing the 15,000 that we put away for the truck? That's a part of the ordinance, which makes up the 45. Yeah.
It'll be 30 plus the 15,089, which gives us the 45. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I'll just chime in real quick. Yeah, I see this as probably the best scenario is just to go ahead and use it from the public safety budget. The whole intent was to put enough extra money in there if there was any unanticipated fallout or consequences if the VPSO didn't work out. Right now, I think we're in pretty good shape. We're covering everything. There's going to be a little bit of surplus in there, then plus the 15 that we have available. Same thing. I just want a truck that's gonna work is basically it. Ideally, if there was a one-off and we found something that, some of those stake bed trucks even have, I've seen them where they've even had like some of the roofing trucks and stuff. Some of those are a custom truck where they do have a dump on them. So at the end of the day, the guys don't have to pull everything out of those. They're like a full-size stake bed truck, like a 1.5 ton or something. So they've got like a 12 or 14 foot bed, and they do have like a scissor dump on them or a hydraulic dump to where, they can just pull right up to the landfill, dump it out with all their tear off materials and stuff. So if we can find something like that, that'd be a huge windfall. The additional hours that it would save, on the back end when the guys are at the landfill, when they have to, guys and gals, when they have to pull the material then out of the truck, that would be super helpful. Again, I think if this is a good idea, we get this in place, and then that gives the manager at least the tools if and when the vehicle comes up, we can jump on it. And we've talked multiple times throughout this summer when there's been as Heidi was alluding to, when vehicles have come up and we just quite haven't been able to pull the trigger fast enough to get them. And then of course that, leads us to, making sure we've got all of our ducks in a row to, in terms of the money, the full amount of money available, a larger amount than what we were originally looking at. So pretty tough to find anything for 15 grand. I mean, that was originally when we were looking, it was, kind of a, we were dreaming. So, but if you start talking the 45 range, you can actually look at a pretty decent truck for that kind of money. So I'm definitely in favor of the ordinance. Any other comments before we go to public?
One more, Mayor Campbell. I don't think that was one of the minimum requirements, right? That it be a dump bed. That you weren't looking at possibly purchasing a stake bed that wasn't.
Yeah, a dump bed is a minimum requirement.
And
And
four-wheel
there are,
drive.
and four-wheel drive,
Right.
gas.
Okay, right.
Those are the
The
three.
three big things. That's what I thought. So I wouldn't even consider one unless it was a dump.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
my feelings on it, Jeremiah, is I wouldn't even consider it unless it was a dump.
And
Okay,
there's,
yeah, no,
Because
thanks for
you're-
clarifying that.
Automatically reducing your liability by 50% right there.
Yep.
And that, and yeah.
thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. And there has been a few, through the mayor, there have been a few, quite a few actually, stake bed dump styles or landscaping dump styles. So if you would like, we can keep you in the loop as we go through this process. Mhm.
I can't
Oh,
hear
You
you.
gotta turn your mic on, John.
I'm sorry, I looked tonight. I seen a couple more in there. But it's a little different site than you're looking at. I'm not that familiar with the site, but I can send you those if you want. But yeah, I wouldn't even look at it if it wasn't a dump. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, any other comments before we go to public? Okay, we'll go to the public if there's anyone either online or I can't tell if anyone's in there or not, so.
We don't have any members of the public in attendance, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Doesn't look like we have any hands raised online.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council for final action disposition on ordinance 24-02.
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 24-02.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by member Rojas to approve ordinance 24-2 with a second by Kennedy. Any further discussion on the motion before we vote? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of ordinance 24-02. All those in favor, Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas,
I,
Kennedy,
Aye.
Swick.
Aye.
Okay, motion is approved with a vote of 4 in the affirmative and 2 are absent. Okay, we're going to go on to, let's see here, item L, unfinished business, none. Item M, new business. Item M1, resolution 24-05. And Heidi, so this is as amended in the laydown, correct?
Through the mayor, the resolution should be in the packet and then it is amended. Sorry, I will let the city clerk speak to this.
Yeah, because we had some date issue on that. All right. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
there was a date issue on that, Mr. Mayor. So it's as amended in the laydown and you'll have the dates in there. I've highlighted the date that was changed in the amended one in the laydown. And other than that, it's the bid packet and the surplus equipment list for review and approval by council, with that surplus auction happening in October.
Okay, sounds good. And those dates, the new dates will be October 16th through October 20th. So it'll be resolution 24-05 is amended, a resolution of the city council of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing the sale or disposal of surplus equipment in a city of Seldovia 2023 public surplus sale. That'll be located on page 21 of the packet and then on page 3 or 4 in the laydown for the amended version. And anything additional that staff wants to add?
No, not at this time. Just available for questions.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and open it up to council for comment.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
This surplus, the money from the sale goes back into the general fund, correct?
Through the mayor, correct? Unless you guys want to allocate it
Unless we
somewhere
put it
else.
somewhere.
That's the 15,000 that is part of the refuse
Right.
truck was from last year's auction.
That's what I thought, but we made that decision after the fact
Correct.
to put it in there. Okay, so it'll just go into general. Okay, okay, thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Okay, we'll go to the public. Anyone from the public wish to comment on resolution 24-05 as amended?
We do not have any members in the room. There are some online, and for those on the phone, you can hit *9 to raise your hand if you'd like to make a comment. All right, I'm not seeing any hands at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and bring it back to council for final action resolution on resolution 24-05 as amended.
I'll move to approve resolution 24-05 as amended.
Second,
Okay, and we have a motion by Councilmember Swick to approve resolution 24-05 as amended with a second by Rojas. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on resolution 24-05 as amended. All those in favor, Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas,
aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Swick.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with a vote of 4 in the affirmative and 2 absent. So that was resolution 24-05 is amended, and that passes. Item M2, action memorandum 24-02, approval of Sispre Tidelands application dated 7/28/2023, floating dock contingent on the renew of permitting through the Kenai River Center and the Army Corps of Engineers. So be found on page 22 of your packet, and I'll go ahead and let staff present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So on page 21 of the packet, we'll see the resolution the action memorandum for the Tidelands permit. Sispre has requested a 5-year, sorry, hold on for one moment. Okay, sorry. The action memorandum is on page 22, and Sispre has applied for a renewal of their Tidelands permit by filing an application with us. Their current permit is set to expire October 22nd of 2023, and included in the packet is correspondence confirming that their agency permits will be renewed, and then this action memorandum will be contingent upon the renewal of those leases. Other than that, it is the same as their previous lease, and we have Jamie Alada from Sispre online if you guys have any additional questions. And with that, I'll open it up to council for questions.
Okay, sounds good. Any additional comments or questions from council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, this is a housekeeping issue that we have with Sispre. I don't think there's any changes whatsoever. It's just something that we do with their application. So I'm all in favor of it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. They've got everything lined out that needs to be lined out, all the paperwork and their applications and permitting are all in order. So I'm in favor of action memorandum 24-02. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor.
sounds good. Thank you. Any additional comments from anyone else? Yeah, I'll just chime in too. I don't have any objection to this. Go through the packet. Everything's pretty well in order. Pretty clear in the drawings and the application. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Sounds like there's no objection from any of the permitting agencies. So that's all good news. So yeah, I consider this pretty straightforward as well, with no objections from myself. Anyone else before we go to the public? Okay. We'll open it up to the public. If there's anyone in the public that wishes to comment on resolution 24, or excuse me, action memorandum 24-02.
There are no hands raised at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council for final action disposition on action memorandum 24-02, which is the approval of the Sispre Tidelands lease.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve action memorandum 24-02.
Second,
Okay, at this time, we have a motion from Councilmember Rojas to approve action memorandum 24-02 with a second by Sweat. Any additional discussion before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of action memorandum 24-02. All those in favor, Sweat,
aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Swick.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes with a vote of 4 in the affirmative and 2 absent. So action memorandum 24-02 is passed. Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
yep, go ahead.
who's that person that's on there?
Oh, that was Jamie with Sispre, in case you guys had any questions.
Oh, I was gonna say, did that person want to say something?
Mhm.
I guess not.
Pretty straightforward. All right, sounds good. We'll go ahead and move on here. That includes item M2, item N, city manager's report. And this will be in the laydown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a few new things happening, but a lot of just updates on things that are still pending. I'm really hoping that this doesn't pile on towards the end of the year, but it looks like that's kind of the way it's going to happen. So I'm sorry in advance, but we'll try to keep it as spread out as possible. First, starting off with, we have the tsunami inundation zone mapping and brochure. Well, the tsunami inundation brochure meeting with SVT. SVT hosted it in conjunction with UAF and State of Alaska, same team that came down last time that's been working on this project, I guess since '98. And Seldovia was one of the first, that was the second community that they started this project on. But in large part due to our local expert and new data that they received in was the 2011, I think, time tsunami. We've had quite a few revisions. So they say this is their favorite community. I bet they say that to every community. But really enjoyed the visit because this was their first time being here when it wasn't winter. So we met at the SVT boardroom, quite a few people in the room. A lot of discussion was held. The general overall purpose is that they have funding to create a brochure, like you see the examples I have here for Seward and Homer. It has to be finalized and printed by next August. And so the discussion is based on, we didn't get to it as much as I think desired during the meeting last Tuesday or Wednesday about what the content of the brochure. But the other part of the discussion is the tsunami evacuation lines in the community. And you can see they brought printouts and they're here for any council member who would like to see them, or we'll have them at the city office. And I bring this to council for consideration of what kind of boundary line or buffer you guys would like to see on the map. If you look at it, you can see there's not a lot of areas of town that are not inundated or potentially inundated. Councilmember Payton did mention wanting to be part of a work group or work committee if it was formed with SVT and members of the community to continue this discussion. That was definitely the highlight of the meeting on that day. As Elena discussed previously, different communities have done it different ways with, 25-foot buffer or to the next street line. If you look at our map, I think it was a little overwhelming for me because there's not a lot of room for a buffer in any way, shape, or form. They're just little pockets. So, some of the discussion was just moving it to the next street, using, like, for instance, there's the hill over on Vista. So using Vista Avenue as the boundary. It'd be, it's just going to be an ongoing conversation. So I'd leave that to council. If you guys have a interest in being a part of this work group to make this decision on where the boundary for those evacuation lines is, it'd be great to have your input. Or if you just want to come by and look at them and give input from there. Overall, we have to make a decision on what that's going to look like. And sorry, it's not better on the camera there, but like I said, I have them in case you guys have any questions. Any questions on that before I move on? Okay. So the other thing of interest, Boardwalk and Fulmer Avenue, it came about, it was requested in the past that the city determine the feasibility of limiting motorized access to the boardwalk due to wear and ongoing maintenance, and to Fulmore access to Susan Lake in the event that the city wants to develop that as a pedestrian alley, we talked about implementing a boardwalk, some kind of a development to make that pedestrian zone. We did receive a legal memorandum from our attorney that spoke to the fact that that is a feasible option. And it would be done through ordinance. I had a nice discussion with him last week about, well, what does that mean? Can we allow some access, like, for instance, residents that live there, motorized scooters for ADA accessibility, maintenance? What does that look like? And his suggestion was to update the ordinance, because we no longer have a chief of police, the language that they provided to state that, let me find the language here, right here. No motorized vehicles would be allowed unless authorized by the city, and that we should also implement signage. So if that is something that council wants to pursue, please let me know and we can write a draft ordinance and present it at an upcoming meeting. Additionally, we are also working on an RFP for council consideration at an upcoming meeting for the snow removal of the boardwalk. So that should be coming soon. Personnel policy. I know we keep saying it's coming. It is the first draft is complete. It went through a first review. I need to go back through and I'd reject, accept, mark up more changes. Then it'll go to legal. Once it comes back from legal, it can go through staff for a initial staff review, because this will impact them. So they do need to have input on what those changes are, and then bring it back to council for approval. I do think we can have this done by the next council meeting, but the next council meeting may be a little heavy. As mentioned here, HDR will be in town for the drainage map field. That'll be their field work time, and they'd love a chance to present and speak with city council about drainage in Seldovia. So potentially there will be a work session prior to the next meeting to speak with them. Brenda Alberg with KPB OEM will also be in town. She's teaching a class, an incident command class with Mark Ball with SVT. So she'll be here in person, and would like the opportunity to be able to come to speak to council that evening as well. And then Aviva Braun with the National Weather Service will be in town tomorrow, meeting with SVT. I'll join in that meeting about what it is to be tsunami ready. She's also one of the individuals that was part of the discussion about the tsunami sirens. So having that contact, it'd be great if she could, and she's willing, and she is, to present virtually at an upcoming meeting. And she said she was available on the 25th. So a lot of things to look forward to there. With that, it may be pushed out, the personnel policy, till the end of October. I hate to do it, but the October 9th is certifying elections, and we try not to put a lot of heavy things on there if there's a potential change of the guard. I mean, we know we'll have at least one new member of council. So that'll be the nice switching council seats potentially. And we'll be sad to lose council member Sweat. Week of meetings, just as an update. So we had the tsunami brochure meeting. I also met with SVT and KPED pertaining to a collaborative approach for receiving broadband services for the community. It was an excellent example of Councilmember Keithley's recommendation to include a collaborative partnership category in the city's capital improvement program. The discussion really emphasized the importance of strategic partnerships, and that having the right partner or telecom partner is a necessity. That's how a lot of these communities are receiving funding and having things come in, as they have, ACS or GCI or somebody who is backing the project. I know HEA has talked about it before. We have had discussions in the past with other community or with other providers that have not worked out. SVT has tried quite a bit. This was a really interesting discussion, and so I'll be excited to see what happens. But I think that's a great way to probably mark it in our CIP, and just to continue to think about it, is how to have that collaborative approach. I also met with Crystal and the Homer City manager on Friday for a large portion of the day to discuss our regional partnership and how we can continue supporting each other. We all shared our upcoming projects and priorities where support was needed. It was like a 3-hour meeting. It was actually a really great meeting. There are some exciting things on the horizon for all the organizations, and everybody seemed really amenable to continue to working together. I left the end of the day at that building and had one of the staff at SVT ask me or tell me they'd see me Monday, which was kind of funny because I'm going to see them tomorrow. But it's been a week of meetings. Grant updates. We applied. This was a really last minute. AML initiated a call between Alaska Technical Solution communities. So they service us and Gus Davis and a few other communities around the state, and the Department of Homeland Security pertaining to a grant opportunity through the state for a cybersecurity risk assessment. It's $8,000 is how much we qualified for. Each community applied for the grant, and if awarded, even though we are individually applying, the project would be done in conjunction through all the communities. So it's kind of a neat opportunity to collaborate, and would be a great thing to get done. It was interesting that right after we applied, we actually had our IT specialist, Radzi, email me about the potential for doing a cybersecurity risk assessment. So it's definitely something on the horizon that we probably should look into doing. Oh, we also received notice that through the drinking water program, we received a grant to inventory our service connections. This is a regulation that's coming down on all communities. We just happen to be fortunate enough with our size and our budget that we qualify as part of this drinking water program's grant. So they'll help with technical services to come in. We have to have, it's from my understanding, and I'm learning more about it, it specifies lead. They want us to, so because of that, we have to inventory every single service connection and the material, because we need to have an inventory of how many lead services we have, and all communities are going to be required to have it. So it's not good enough just to know where the lead is. You have to know the material for every project or every connection. Hazard mitigation plan upgrade, update. Our hazard mitigation plan sunset May 2023. We knew that was going to happen. We did apply for, I have a typo there, I'm sorry. We did apply for a grant to update that plan last fall through the State Homeland Security Program. Those announcements should be made mid-October. In the meantime, KPB is aware of our lapse in our plan, and we can work with the borough and the state on how Seldovia can be eligible for future public assistance or mitigation funding until the city's update is approved, because it's going to take a while if we do receive the funding. And we work with the borough. The borough has a hazard mitigation plan, and then all the municipalities and hazard mitigation plans are annexes to to the boroughs. So we do all work together for that. CDBG exploration, as discussed at the previous council meeting, they did announce the notice of funding for the CDBG, FY23 CDBG, and that will application period will close December 1st. I've requested quotes or estimates for the MPB improvement project along with the SFL roof repair. I do believe we'll receive information back about the SFL roof repair, but I don't think we're going to have any luck with MPB without a full RFP last time. And I don't want to do that unless that's the direction that council wants to go, because the contractor I was speaking to says they don't want to, and understandably, put a lot of work in to get quotes, get a bid together, put a package in, if that's not the direction that the council wants to go. So just, thinking through that, the MPB project will most likely be the most expensive project. Just knowing that we want, siding and paint, generator switch, the back stairs repaired, plumbing under Seldovia space, and then the interior work done in the lobby. So even if you say 300,000, and this is just a number thrown out there, I estimate it'll probably be more than that if I was just going to guess. You're looking at a $75,000 match. It's a 25,000 or 25% match for any funding. So, I mean, we can continue to have this discussion, but leaning more towards the other item of urgency being the SFL roof repair. And I don't know that it'll be 300,000, but it may be close to that, and it needs to be done regardless. Or another option is the city could choose for gap funding for the raw water transmission line if the council chooses for the technical consideration to combine funding for the projects to either Block Street or raw water transmission line, knowing that there's a gap funding in raw water transmission line. That's the thing that we were going to pursue before with the CDBG, or one of the considerations was the 20% match. I would have to look into a little further how that would work, but still working out those pieces, hoping to bring more information to council. That may be a viable option as well, is to utilize that funding opportunity to leverage matching or gap funding for that project. I did reach out, speaking of CDS requests, to COW Engineering for an updated cost estimate with a consideration of value engineering. They said no problem, so we should be hearing back from them hopefully this week with that. And then quick project activity updates. Public Works, the boat haul out trailer is temporarily down due to a blown hydraulic hose. The city dock is getting some much needed love thanks to Operator Gruber. He's installing a new bowl rail type infrastructure along the south side of the dock for safety measure for our line handlers. And then there's was a chunk of that infrastructure at the end that is just rotted on the inside. The treated wood was cut and exposed, so it's just slowly deteriorated. So he has to replace some boards. There's some pieces that need to be removed or taken apart or replaced. So not a full repair, but hopefully just updating a few things as we can. And the crane is on the list for maintenance. So, well, I'm thinking if we're ordering hydraulic hoses for trailers, maybe we should be ordering hydraulic hoses for cranes, but waiting for Operator Cameron to get back to confirm that. Outhouse porta potty maintenance. I was out at Jackloft this weekend and the porta potty was back open. So I guess people are using it regardless. We did hear from Representative Vance's office that they had a discussion with DOT about us not being able to have a truck go across on the ferry with solid waste in it, or not solid waste, sorry, wastewater in it. And DOT was like, that's not a rule that we're aware of. Maybe that's a captain or a boat. Maybe that was a day thing. Because I think I've heard, if I remember, I've heard actually a few people in town say that the ferry was not very accepting of them taking RVs over that had wastewater in them. But apparently that is allowed. They were going to confirm and get back to us. And if that's the case, then we can continue to pursue bringing a truck over on the ferry and disposing of it that way. So just an interesting tidbit there. Tree removal on the boardwalk. There is a problem tree in the right of way. So we are pursuing a couple of quotes for that and feasibility, but I don't think from the one individual's comments, it doesn't seem like it'll be that big of a deal. So hopefully it's just a quick cut and done. Hazardous waste barge. I want to give big kudos to our harbor master and Radzi and operator Gruber for some last minute grabs of material. I was informed that we didn't have much. Apparently harbor master Peterson is the go-to. I should have known better because she was like, wait. So they did a last minute grab and we're able to get almost everything that we've been storing up for a while out the door. And staff was very excited at the end of that because we are getting to a really good clean slate was the word I heard, like putting out a tote for next year. Things can go in it as they're accumulated. No more storage of materials that we don't need to keep. And so excited about that. Seldovia Planning Commission's begun an annual review of the land use management plan. Recommended changes will be discussed at their October 4th meeting and then referred to council once the review is complete. The review will also include an updated snow removal policy and map for council consideration, just some things that needed to be updated from the last time. Commercial Business District Subcommittee. Think they have decided on Wednesday, September 20th for the first meeting, and notice will go out as that gets a little closer. Harbor updates. We had to purchase a new point of sale system due to QuickBooks point of sale expiring, and they're no longer offering that service. So they chose the Square. And of course they got it in and they installed it. And it was the very time that the whole Square system went down. Wouldn't you figure? So, but it's up, it's there. We're looking forward to hopefully that running smoother, and it will actually talk to our current QuickBooks program, which the old system did not. So it may save us some time and, possible, maybe we'll see. we're hoping in the future. BHO, we're speaking with legal tomorrow to finalize the Seldovia Boatyard impoundment procedures and draft ordinance, except I just received an email that that's being delayed another week. But the Geskimo is scheduled to be disposed of in the upcoming weeks. That's as soon as our trailer's working. And I don't know if that one's going on a trailer or not. I need to confirm with the guys what the plan is, but they are working on that. FY24 budget, we're already tracking items. We're always tracking items. For budget adjustment. One unfortunate one being that due to timing, the FY22 expense crossed over into FY24, a portion of it, about $13,000 hit FY24 that was not anticipated. It should have been an FY23 expense. So that's really unfortunate and will be part of the mid-year budget adjustment. Staff update, we're still hiring for an AMHS ferry ticket agent and line handler and public works operator 1. I received an application from an individual interested in both. And we've hired on Diamond Kennedy through the winter as a senior meals assistant. She's going to come and fill in. So that's exciting. And we don't want to give her up though. Awning and SFL repairs, we already kind of discussed. We're getting quotes for those. Drainage map, HDR will be here. STIP closed, WO we discussed. Everything else, I think, is just follow-up. So if you have any questions, happy to seek answers.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Any questions or comments from council?
Mr. Mayor, if I can ask a question, please.
Yeah, go ahead, Vivian.
Thank you for the great report. I'm curious on the mapping utility service connection grant. Are you saying that they need to identify, am I in the right section here? All of the service connections, what the material is at the service connections, and if they aren't those buried? Or am I not understanding this question, this request?
Through the mayor, no, I think you're understanding it just fine. Yes, we have to identify them, and we do have records. So I think it's just a matter of consolidating and making final determinations if needed. I haven't heard a lot more from the drinking water program, but I did respond. Thanks for your help. We're excited to have you. Does this mean you're coming to town? So hoping they'll respond back and be able to provide a lot of assistance that so our guys aren't left trying to walk every line. But there's different equipment that will GPS equipment they mentioned. And I know that's out there that will walk the lines, and there's different systems in place. I'm just not sure what they're going to do.
Okay, yeah, I just thought if we have to be digging up everything, that seems like a extensive project, but okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Campbell, I have one question too. That's
Yeah,
just,
go ahead.
that's just water, right? Are they going to be looking at sewage lines and electrical lines?
I believe it's just water because they're looking for lead lines. They
Okay.
a full inventory of the system that includes any lead lines.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any questions, comments? Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Heidi, for your report. Item O, informational items not requiring action. Item O1, notice of election. The City of Seldovia regular municipal election will be held Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. Item O2, notice of absentee in-person voting. Absentee in-person voting for City of Seldovia and Kenai Peninsula Borough municipal elections will begin September 18th, 2023 at the city office. Hours will be Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Item P, executive session, none. Item Q, council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. Sweat.
Just the usual. Thanks for all the information.
Okay, Rojas.
Yeah, thank you, staff and council, for the good work. That's it, thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy.
Nothing further tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Swick.
No comment.
Okay, thank you. Yep, for me, just thanks for all the information. Appreciate everyone's interaction tonight. Good meeting, short. Obviously, I think a few of these next meetings coming up, we'll have a little more to discuss. Let's see, next meeting will be a regular meeting. Will be held on September 25th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
You have a second?
Second.
Any objection? Okay, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, have a good night.